Welcome to See You Next Tuesday. I'm Jade Chung. Ring of Honor was definitely the best thing that ever happened to me in wrestling. The storyline was so real. It was so fun to be a part of. Getting to work with the likes of Prince Nana, Jimmy Rave, even Abyss, Alex Shelley, Roderick Strong, Matt Sydal, Austin Aries, Jack Evans. It was such a great time. Well, obviously, right? I mean, I got to play a character that I've never played before. Getting the reactions from fans ringside, it really touched my heart. And the fact that, Prince Nana has said that I wasn't allowed to converse with anybody made it a lot more kind of a mystical thing. I don't know how to explain that, but you don't know how many fans would try very hard to tell me, you gotta leave now, you don't deserve this treatment. And oh my gosh, I am so thankful for every single fan that tried to talk to me ringside, that tried to tell me, this isn't right, just leave them, do your own thing. That means so much to me. You have no idea. The atmosphere was incredible. I mean, the moment that you hear in person, just all the fans just slapping their hands up against the Ring of Honor, what is it? The metal, I don't even know how to call it. The metal sign that they had, going around the guardrails. It's just an incredible feeling. It's hard to explain, but unless you're there and it just hits your eardrums so loud, it instantly puts a smile on your face. Every city was a lot of fun, and all the fans there were all different, and everyone had high energy. I'd have to say that I really enjoyed the Midwest fans. So Chicago fans were crazy. I think the best, and I'm going off of reactions, was simply New York. I think we were there twice. Once in the very beginning of our storyline. And then the next time after that, I believe, was when I joined Generation Next. Okay, but maybe I'm biased. But when I joined Generation Next, the whole atmosphere, everybody, it was the first time in Ring of Honor that when I turned on Prince Nana and Jimmy Rave, the Embassy, the whole place erupted and the whole place was chanting my name. I mean, you can't get any better than that. You're at Ring of Honor, you're in New York, you're in the Manhattan Center, and the whole place is just echoing your name. That made me feel so good, and that made me feel wow, I did it. That was the moment that I really did feel like I was loved. It was such a good time. I'll share one embarrassing moment that I had. And it was probably the most embarrassing moment I've done in my entire career. The Embassy had to go up for a promo one night. I completely forget where it was. And they wanted me to speak broken English. And right off the bat, I don't know, I just feel weird doing it and funny, I guess. And I had no problem doing it, obviously, and I did it. But to me, it didn't sound real. And I think that's what bothered me about it. But anyway, I think that was my most embarrassing moment of having to speak in broken English. Once I broke away from the Embassy and joined Generation Next, oh boy, I thought being in the Embassy was super fun. And then I got to join Generation X, and that's where like a new level of fun came. So I got to like stick it to Prince Nana any chance that I could get. It was so much fun, and like just looking at Nana from, the opposite end of the ring. It was such a good feeling. I remember at one point I saw him at, the other side of the ring, and I couldn't believe I had 10 seconds of my own thoughts of just saying, I can't believe we've made it this far. Like, everyone is loving the storyline. Everyone is cheering. Everyone is booing. You don't understand the feeling of that accomplishment is literally one of the best feelings in the world. And then at the Steel Cage Warfare match, at the very end when Gen Next won, I remember so clearly, we're all in the ring. I was raising all the boys' hands, and they kept telling me, they're like, okay, go stand on Jimmy, take this moment. And the moment I did that, like, just the place erupted. It couldn't have ended any better than that. I'm just so excited to have Prince Nana on to just relive some of the stories, catch up, and just see what he's up to. Please welcome Prince Nana. How are you, Nana?
Jade, how are you, my friend Jade? The beautiful chick. It's so good to hear your voice again. I'm good. How are you, my friend?
I'm amazing. You know what? I just love catching up with you. I love it. Even with like simple text messages that we send each other, I love every single minute of it.
It's the best, because it just reassures, self, and it reassures, me that there's good in this life. And I'm just so happy that I was able to perform with you. And I'm sure that Jet has been doing, Jet is how old now?
Jet will be 3 in a few months.
Oh my God. I'm flying like, forget it. You can't imagine.
One of the things that I love when I see your name pop up on like Facebook or Twitter is that you have the realest status updates. Can we talk about that? Like, so savage.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. And I know a lot of other people see and they notice that as well. And I think that I attribute that to just, coming up in the concrete jungle. I'm from, living in Brooklyn, New York, all right, almost all of my life, but traveled all over the world. But, being from New York, it's in you, the reality of things. I'd rather just put it out there than hold it back. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that I don't put out there because I just, want everyone to enjoy their lives, and everyone has their own opinions. But I'll go ahead and I'll, let some people raise some eyebrows every now and then, just to make, just to let everyone know that I'm alive and well.
You talk about, being raised in New York. Did you keep that? Did you like bring that personality with you into wrestling? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
in my last episode, I talked about how friendships were hard to come by. I was mainly
Right.
talking about between females, but
Right.
even same goes for guys. It's hard to find an actual real friendship with other guys, and that is something that was very special between you and I. Like, instantly we bonded.
Absolutely.
Not only chemistry with
Absolutely.
out in the ring, but like chemistry in the back as well,
Personal.
because you
Right.
always respected me, which I'm so grateful. And to this day, I always thank you for
Oh,
that, and for just treating me like a human being. Although
oh
wrestling,
man.
the wrestling part of it didn't seem like it.
Oh
But
yeah, of
like,
course. The story is horrible, but it's I could definitely attribute a lot of that, Jade, to just the upbringing. My thank God, you got to remember, my dad passed away. Rest in peace to Kofi Poku. He's the original Kofi that I ever know. His name is Kofi Poku. He passed away when I was 10. And I have very good fond memories of my father. But after years of not having him around, but having a lot of other, major figures, female and male, in my life, I was able to go to a camp. All right, one of the oldest camps in the United States. It's called Camp Dudley. It's the oldest and first camp in the United States, and one of the major mottos that they taught the campers there was "the other fellow first." And it's something that I carried throughout my career, throughout my life. Since the day it was kind of like passed on to me, because it actually has helped me through situations. The more people that I've helped, the more I've been able to progress and kind of get to where my dreams are, if you will.
Wow. I know nothing about this Camp Dudley.
Yeah, it's great. Oh man, even kids from Canada go to Camp Dudley. They're on the
Oh,
yeah, they're on the Adirondack. I'm sorry, they're on Lake Champlain. Okay, which is in close to the Adirondack Mountains. Lake Champlain is close to Montreal. Too
yeah.
far, right? And Vermont isn't too far also. So I was able to really have a diverse upbringing outside of coming up, living in, in Brooklyn, New York, particularly Brownsville. All right. And,
Mm,
Brownsville is one of the roughest parts of New York
yeah.
City.
Yeah.
Anyone ever heard of Brownsville? There was a wrestler from Impact. I remember they were like building him from Brownsville, and I was like, this guy doesn't look like he's from Brownsville, but I understood. I
Who was
understood.
it? Who was it? Do
I
you
forget
remember?
his name, I think, because he was a big, real big guy from Impact. I know your husband will know exactly who I'm talking about, but he was partnered with Red for a while. I'm forgetting his name, but anyway, Brownsville is really, really tough. And I had to, my mom was trying to figure out ways to get us away from a lot of the negativity. And one of those ways was, by connecting us with um, uh, my brother Adolph's, uh, roommate at the University of Vermont. All right, his father was the executive director of Camp Dudley, and that's
Oh,
exactly that's how we got introduced to that place, and then met a lot of great people. People that I'm still friends with today, and very major people. But just that rough upbringing in Brooklyn, I was able to kind of like use some of those ideologies that I got from Camp Dudley and kind of bring it to where I lived after many years after going to camp and just working with people. I worked as a director at a one of the biggest day camps in New York City for maybe about 15 years. And that also helped me, understand people, how to deal with, people. I dealt with a lot of kids. And when I say people, I'm talking about people also, because you got to remember I was dealing with counselors and parents and, stuff like that. So you're dealing with
yeah.
the
Wow.
kids' attitude, then you're dealing with the counselors' attitudes, and then you're dealing with the parents' attitudes, and then you just have to have a smile on your face, and you just have to be there for people when they need you, especially if you're, uh, hired to do a job, or if they're putting their trust in you to do a job. So that's where most of that, you know, um, comes from when it comes to why how was I able to kind of um, easily become friends with individuals in the rest of this is because I had an open mind and I didn't judge anybody and I tried to help
Yeah.
people as possible.
Hmm. Talking about you helping others,
Right.
that's how we really bonded, is that you were the one who came up to me and asked me to send my stuff in to Gabe.
Right. Right. And I remember you told me that story on my podcast a couple of
Yeah.
and I was just shocked by that. I was like, wow, I
You
just,
didn't even know. You forgot.
yeah, I was like, thank God I did that because look, look, you know what I mean? We did so much and you did a lot outside of what you did in Ring of Honor as well. And I'm just proud of like all the history you have, period. And it just shows, how serious we were about what it was that we were doing and how much we believed in what it was that we were doing at that time. I'm grateful for that.
I, definitely, me too. But you actually started off wrestling, right?
Oh man, yes I did. I'm a
When did
wrestler by trade. I'm a fully trained pro wrestler.
and when did you debut?
I debuted way back in the ancient times, back in like around it's the ancient times in 1996 or 1997. And
Wow.
yeah, it was like 1997, 98 is when I really had a match. And back then I wasn't writing all of my shows down. But, one of my first big matches was with Big Vito and obviously the Spanish
Oh.
Spanish Angel is one of my trainers. One of my main and original trainers is the unpredictable Johnny Rods, WWE Hall of Famer. He is one of the best trainers in the industry. That's still rocking and rolling today. Yeah, he has a lot of old school, training going on, but at the same time, his job is to teach you the fundamentals. And then, as you're growing as a performer, obviously you're going to learn along the way. That's how all of us made it. Devon, Taz, Tommy Dreamer, all of us.
And when did you make the transition to being a full-time manager?
It was not so long actually, you know, um, before I met you. I
Oh.
Yeah, it's not so long after. It was maybe about a year or something. Not even. I think it was about maybe 2 years or something like that. After a year or something, maybe something like that. I think it was maybe 2 years or something. But it started, because I was away for a while. Towards the beginning of Ring of Honor, for whatever reason, I was away for a little bit, not so long. It was maybe about 6 months or something like that. This is when the company was starting.
Mhm.
And you know, hey, listen, people love my wrestling, but other people, love my art, in ring um promo, and I
Oh,
think
yes. Oh my gosh.
Gabe, and Gabe, who was a huge fan of mine, all right, and he booked me for Ring of Honor as a wrestler originally. He asked me for a second go around, and he kind of begged because he was like, he didn't really beg, but he was like, I really want you to try this out, and I want you to try managing. And I wasn't against it because when I first got into wanting to become a wrestler, I was like, what am I going to do? I'm too small. I'm not, big and this and that. I wasn't the biggest guy in wrestling at one point. When I first got in, I wasn't a big guy. You know what I mean? I was never
Mm-hmm.
fat. Once I was in wrestling, I was big. You know what I mean? Because I was, lifting weights and drinking supplements and stuff like that. But when I was younger, I knew that I more was interested in, you know, uh, being behind the scenes, but at the same time doing a little bit of maybe what Bobby Heenan was doing. So that was definitely in my mind. It was in my
Mm-hmm.
mind. I knew that one of the ways for me to get my foot in the door, just period, was to just learn how to become a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
I could, I was, I went to college and all of that, and could have, worked behind the scenes and so on and so forth. But I really saw a better opportunity for me as an African American at the time, uh, you know, as a wrestler, especially when I was coming in. There were a lot of African Americans. We had world champions, so but it was like really kind of still a trying time, uh, for independent Black wrestlers, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was able to kind of like open that door up for more, uh, urban, urban type wrestlers to want to get involved on a higher level. So yeah, it was definitely an experience starting out as a wrestler
Yeah.
at Johnny Rodz' school. It was at Johnny Rodz' school, the unpredictable school of professional wrestling. I helped him name that school also, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even know all this.
Yes. Yes. Back in 1997, I helped him, actually 1990, 1997. I helped him name it the World of Unpredictable Wrestling. I used to write the programs for him, and he was trying to come up with a name for his promotion, and he had a whole bunch of different names. And I was like, Johnny, they call you the Unpredictable Johnny Rods, and you should go. And he said, what do you think? And I said, well, if I like the World of Unpredictable Wrestling, and it just stuck, and it stuck all these years, and Johnny's built an unbelievable school out of it. God bless him. He's a great trainer, and he should be, they should definitely um showcase him a lot more.
Yeah.
What he's done, he's definitely up there as far as the legends.
That's awesome. So how did you start with Ring of Honor? What with Ring of Honor? Like did Gabe find you and he just called you up one day and
No, Gabe was, I was just, I was training and doing shows throughout the Northeast. As an independent wrestler, I was all over the place. I was at a particular wrestling company at the time called UCW, and now it's called ICW, Impact Championship Wrestling, out
Mhm.
of Queens, New York City. And back in the early 2000s, that was the hottest thing in wrestling because there was no ECW at the time. ECW had gone under all the shows; it went bankrupt. So there was no, all of the ECW superstars were doing indie events all over the place. And for New York City, it was in this place called the Elks Lodge in New York City. And that was one of my, you know, thank God, one of the first places that I was able to really showcase excuse me, the Prince Nana character,
Mm.
even though I was already doing it, small places and also at Johnny's, but I was able to showcase it at this um, facility. And boy, oh boy, like it was, forget it. The atmosphere was crazy. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen the 2000 videos from Impact Championship Wrestling with the Low Key versus Rest in Peace Xavier, who was a great
Oh,
friend of mine. They really changed the game in pro wrestling, and I actually I look at it as myself changing the game also. But going back to your question, Gabe was already working for ECW, and then he was doing independent events where he was, videotaping and kind of selling DVDs for RF video.
okay,
Um,
yeah.
and he approached me. I didn't know who he was. All right, I had no idea who he was at that time. I was someone coming out the curtain doing shows, and the whole place was going bananas. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when I'm, walking in the back and somebody's approaching me, you're gonna look like a fan, but I'm gonna respect you. You understand what I'm saying? So, number
Yeah.
one, he was a fan, and I respected the fact that he was a fan, and he said he was. And he said to me, "Hey, listen, we're starting a new company out of Philadelphia, and I'd love for you to be a part of it, man." And back then, what am I going to say? No, I'm a guy that's trying to. I didn't know what his company was about. I didn't know who he was talking to about this company, but not knowing there were some really cool individuals in the background trying to, make it happen. And boom, I was, one of the first African Americans to step in the ring with Ring of
Wow. I love
Honor.
that story. That's great.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
So from then, did like how soon after did the embassy like come about? Was that your
It,
idea? Was that Gabe's
that was
idea?
definitely it was definitely my idea, but it came about at that show where I came back. You remember I said a little bit earlier
Yeah.
that I left for
Yeah.
a while, so it was at that show where I came back. I believe it was in Philadelphia. We were doing a lot of shows in Philadelphia at the uh not at the Rexplex at this time. This maybe 3 years, 4 years after. Yeah, so we were doing shows at the Armory, and I knew that I was booked that night with Xavier. Rest in peace to Xavier. I knew I was booked that night with him as his manager. And I just knew that he was coming out with Prince Nana. You know what I mean? With me,
Right.
I was gonna come out. So like right before we went out to the curtain, right before we went out, you know, and Bobby Cruz was the ring announcer. Gabe comes running over. No, no, no. I mean, I forgot to ask you what did you say the name of? What did you say again? The name was the of the faction that you wanted to use, and what was the name again? We need the name, right? And I said, oh, it's the embassy, and then boom,
Oh.
yeah, that's how it was. That's how it was born. And I remember that night when I walked out to it, oh, representing the embassy, Bobby Cruz in his historic voice
Yeah.
came out saying that. Um, man, oh man, I was like, okay, we're gonna be doing this for a long time. And when I said that, as I was walking out, uh, the curtains. That's exactly what happened for like the next 15. It was like next 13 years of that. It was crazy. Yeah.
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 Who were the first members?
Oh, the first member was definitely Xavier.
Yeah.
Xavier was the first member. He's, second ever Ring of Honor world champion. And outside of that was, I believe a little bit later on was John Walters.
Okay.
Yeah, it was John Walters after that. And then there was just like a whole slew of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was just a whole slew. And then you were one of the main. Like, there's main people I know. And remember, you, Jimmy Rave, Mia Yim. You know what I mean? Like those,
Yeah.
but there's like some other people like Fast Eddie Vegas or something like that. Like,
Yeah. That guy.
you remember that guy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
never liked him.
complete, like, I heard he became like weird afterwards. Like, yeah. So, I was looking at like the roster for the embassy. It was like 50 people on them. Like, God damn.
Wow.
I said, I gotta get some fucking checks from some of these people. Oh, excuse my language. Excuse my language.
You're good, but wow, that's a lot. Who was the first female? Was it Angel Williams? Was she the first female in your group?
um, I believe so. I
Yeah.
believe Angel was the first female, and I love Angel. I love her to death. The only thing is that sometimes I don't even think she knows who the hell I am, and that kind of hurts. That kind of hurts. But I don't. That's just the wrestling business. You know what I'm saying? It's just like what it is. What it is. But the real first woman and first lady of the embassy was, because I know after that she had went to do some stuff in Japan or something like that, or whatever she went to do. And then we needed someone. And I
Yeah.
was like, listen, that's how I scouted you out.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe that's how I scouted you out. And Gabe, you know, uh, I have nothing. Gabe is good to me. Like, we had our ups and downs. That's how you create. You get into it and this and that. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. You know what I'm saying? But he gave me a lot of creativity within, what it was that I was doing. So I appreciate that part of it. The creative part of what they were doing was kind of like weird sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And one day it'll be addressed. One day it'll be addressed, hopefully. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
but it is what it is. The fans loved it, and a lot of people became successful off of it, and I'm just happy for that, and the people who like you, who always like make me want to choke up and like cry, and thanking me.
Aw.
I wouldn't even think twice about it because like life is about helping people. And
Yes,
anyone who is at the top of the food chain acting like they got there on their own, trust me,
exactly.
they're
Yeah.
lying to you. They're lying to you. So like they could sit there all day long in their mansions and this and that, but life is good over here. Life is good. So like that's all that I care about.
So, for those who don't know our story, basically for me, I was just there at the right time, right place. We were both doing the NWA cyberspace shows in
Right,
Jersey, right?
right. Rest in peace to Billy Firehawk.
Yes, yes. That's where we met,
Yeah.
and then you came up to me afterwards asking, if I'd be interested in doing Ring of Honor. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, would I? Would I? I'm saying that in my head, but cool, calm, collected. I said, "Oh yes, you know, trying to be all cool." You're like, "Yeah, just send your package." And I always had like a resume, 8x10, even a tape with me, even though it was just managing. Like I had it all ready. I wanted to be ready to send it off to whoever wanted it, or
Right.
So I did that right away. I think maybe you were the one who said, you know what, just show up to Boston and we'll see how it goes. I'm like, okay. Oh, I remember now. Sorry. Old age. I showed up to I showed up to Boston with my package
Right.
and I gave it to Gabe and I don't even think he opened it.
Right.
And it was just that night. He was like, "Yeah, okay, you're coming out with Nana." I'm like,
Oh, it was that same night.
"Yeah, it was that same night."
See? See? That's how God works. That's how God works. That's he was like that. He was very much like he was very, is that what you want to do? You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, there were certain things he wanted, and he would go crazy if it wasn't like the way he wanted it. But he gave me a lot of creative control and was able to let me, create something very, very, you know, uh, life standing. I'm able. This movement, the embassy movement, is great. People have been supporting the movement for over almost like 15 joints now. So I'm
Mhm.
definitely happy for that. I'm definitely happy for that. And I'm always grateful for, everything that I've gotten out of, the wrestling business.
Now I gotta ask. The footstool. Okay.
Oh my God.
Whose idea? Yours or Gabe's?
The footstool, I believe the footstool idea came from either, because you see the footstool in Ghana, all right, there's a stool. They call it the golden stool.
Oh,
All right?
okay, okay.
So there's a real meaning behind it,
Oh,
you know.
okay.
So, I forget exactly how it went, you know what I mean? But I know that originally it started as um uh the a step, like, okay, just get on your knees and go up, just get on your, make it look like you're just going up a step. But
Yeah.
the way that the whole golden stool thing is going, like, the fans just dig into the character, like the character, the whole Nana from Ghana thing, they were just so into it, you know what I mean? And just Gabe was into it, and also CM Punk was into it. You know what I mean? That they,
Uh-huh.
that the whole, that's how the golden stool came along.
Oh,
And the
okay.
stool, and stepping on the stool, you kept hearing it on into storylines. But
Yeah.
originally it was what they do, the whole thing in the wrestling business where the king is coming out and then the person goes down and they put, they step up. I've seen a lot of people try to steal our stuff over the years after we did it. It's crazy. Like a lot of,
Wow.
I'm talking a lot of the stuff that me and you did. I'm talking a lot, a lot, a lot. You don't see it.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, a lot. The Chicago show, forget it. The cage match, forget it. Forget it. That people have stole like the whole show, like everything we did, move for move. Like it's crazy.
Really?
Yes, yes. I'm not even
Dang.
joking. But I'm, hey, it makes me. chuckle because it's like, hey, if I inspired you to do something and live your dreams and aspirations, that's great. But the scumbag part, I didn't help you with that. So you're not
Yeah.
gonna, you're not gonna give me credit for making you a scumbag. You know what I
E-
mean? Because
exactly. I'm so glad you said that because the only reason why I asked about the footstool thing, not because I'm mad or anything. Absolutely not.
right,
Listen. Okay. I was given a task.
right,
I
and you
did
did
it.
it.
Okay. I did it to the best that I could do it. And you know what? People either hated it, like hated you
Right,
guys for it. They felt sympathy. And you know what? Even those like wrestlers that come up to me at different shows and are like, "Oh, yeah, you're the footstool girl, huh?" And then starts laughing.
wow,
I say to myself, I brush them off. I say to myself, like, okay, you want to laugh at something that is clearly
right,
all in your head, in your memory. So I made an impact, like big
right,
enough for you to even remember it, for
right,
even to be a fan of this
right, right,
storyline. You know what I
right,
mean?
right,
So
right.
when people
People
talk
don't
to me, yeah, when people talk to me about it, they make it sound like it's what's the word? Like an insult.
yeah, yeah, that's the problem with the wrestling industry, though. That's the problem with the industry because, and I think, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, me, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about me. I don't know about. I know there was a couple of other people, but I'm probably one of the last um parts of the of pro wrestling where it was actually entertainment. Well, not I don't want to use the word entertainment, but it was still pro wrestling. Like I'm talking about pro wrestling where it blew up. You understand what I'm saying? With
Hmm.
storylines and with characters, and I know that when we got popular, characters weren't so big. But the reason why Ring of Honor was able to kind of stay, where they were, I guess, in the market is because they had that sprinkle of character in the show. Outside of the whole be real, be real, be real. You know, um, for people to even say or to joke about you being a footstool, like
Hmm.
you said, that is a job in acting that you were able to fulfill and you fulfilled it well. You know what I mean? And it's just shit. I look at that as a huge compliment, but the
Hmm.
wrestling business has kind of, you know, it's kind of like what's the word that I'm looking for?
It's just that's like the ugly
It's
side of the
conditioned.
wrestling.
Yeah, it's conditioned. Not only and the funny thing, the mean part about it is like if it was a fan saying that to you, fine. But these people that are saying it to you are people who are fans, but they're actually in the industry too.
Hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? And that's
Yep.
what makes it like, hey, don't you know the difference between reality and like and work ethic. You know what I'm saying? Because like
Yeah.
work ethic is what we do out there. Reality is like when we have to pay bills. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So like if you're over here joking to me, like wait till they put you in a dress when you go to WWE, my friend. All right, so keep laughing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So people they don't get it. They just don't get it. So it's like until they get it, I just laugh them off because like you were on a huge platform doing what you did. And you know, through the years, whatever happened, you were on a huge platform. Okay, you did what you had to do. Look at your life now. You're on a huge network doing this podcast. You have a great life, and you're still alive and well, and moving your career forward the way that you wanted to, the way that you imagined it to be. You know what I mean? And that's really what matters. And I used to be in a point, Jade, where people be like, because I'm in the same boat as you. Oh, you're the African guy. You're gonna send me some emails, Nana.
Oh God.
Stuff like that. Like the Nigerian emails or whatever, and this and that.
Yeah.
and I just go along with it and laugh, and but that's where it ends. That it's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I got them too. You know what I'm saying? I got them too. So as long as I keep catching them, there were times I was in the locker room, people were, you know, fans, just like thinking that, like, they were just shocked that, I was speaking to them like a human being and directing them on how to actually do things. You know what I mean? So, a lot of the times people think the belligerency of the Prince Nana gimmick is really who I am. And I could be belligerent, but I can actually be very smart as well. So that's
Mm-hmm.
where I just let people think what they want to think, because that's their world that they're in. In my world and the world of people who are like-minded and open-minded like me, we think like the way that you and I are thinking. It's like, hey, listen, it's not, we're all, it's all about love. Like, it's not that serious. It's serious because we all have mouths to feed, but it's not that serious. We're at a point to tear people down. And that's what the business is about. And when the the fans that are also a part of the business realize that, then we can all move together as, performers, and start making money together, instead of just this person. Every 1,000 people out of like 50,000 can, really make a career out of this. Like, that's bullshit. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of money. There's tons of independent shows going on. There's tons of stuff, uh, promoters that are paying kibbles and bits to wrestlers, female and male, and making a lot of money off of that. And I'm not trying to say, hey, start a union, but like, sooner or later that has to be regulated. So, and then when that's regulated and we're able to keep all of the marks out, like the way that it was maybe even 10, 15 years ago, I think the business should just be back to more of a respectable place to be. Because, like, I love where all of the movements have gone with, like, the speaking up and coming out. And, we have the big, movement in female wrestling, you know what I mean? Being one of the biggest that has ever been in the last 10 years. All of that is great, but the wrestling business is still way behind on just ethics, and just quality of life, and just stuff like that.
I agree. And I think even like back then, speaking like 2005 era, to me, I think that era was like a dark, like a dark era, but it was just a lot of crappy people in the business.
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of those people are like in these high positions and stuff, and it's just weird. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just weird because it's like, Vince, you like this person. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
Vince McMahon would like wake up and smell the coffee. Like this person is an asshole. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it is what it is. I started to realize that a lot of those dark and crazy people and this and that, like, I really don't want to be anywhere near them. I don't want to be near them. And if I ever am near them in a situation, I will let them know. I will let them know.
Yeah.
And that's probably why, and I won't do it in a mean way. I just won't, I'll let them know in the way of me being where they are. You understand what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like, listen,
Yeah.
I'm here too. And when people start to see that, then I guess we'll all be in the same even playing field. Because I've been a professional for the last 25 years. Just, a lot of guys going to WWE and all these other places, they feel like, for you to call yourself a professional or bring yourself into that, into that bracket, you need to be at one of those companies, and that's not true.
See, and that's why I immediately just gravitated to you and Jimmy Rave, like respected you guys so much, simply because out there you were gentle. Like I'm talking about the leash.
Right,
Like
right,
you barely tugged, but
right, right.
you
Right.
know what I mean?
You
Like
did
in
all
your
of the acting work. You did all of the, you did most of the acting work, and it was so great. It was so great. Even though
But
I
it's
hated doing that gimmick, but
you did. You would tell me before going out, you would tell me how much you were like slightly uncomfortable about it, but I would tell you like, don't worry, just do it. We're good. We're doing
yeah,
it.
it was just something about it. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I just felt like it was just not gonna be good for my career. And I feel like it wasn't, it was fun at the time. And it was just like, but like the wrestling industry, everyone looks at it as real all the time. So like now,
Yeah.
you know, uh, when people come to you and they're like, oh, look, you're the footstool girl. They're like, oh, look at you. You're the one that was choking the girl. And it's like, oh my gosh, like that's not cool. You know what I mean? So, you know, I want people to remember me, and I'm getting emotional now because people don't know how serious I love this industry,
Hmm.
you know, but it's like, that's how much I wanted the fans to believe what it was that we were doing. I wanted
Yeah.
them to know how real Ring of Honor was. I
Yeah.
wanted them to know how real, you know, I was as a performer, and how I could show, turn this fictional situation into a reality. And that's what I did, and for me not to be, you know, hired on the main stage, it really makes me not upset, but it bothers me a little bit, and I was never the person, oh, racism and this and that, and so on and so forth. But you got to look at that sometimes. You
Hmm.
got to look at that. You got to. There's a little bit of like a, kind of like a bothersome, and it's not. Look, between me and you, there's been about, in the last 10 years, like about 50 black wrestlers that have been hired. You know what I mean? But none of these
Yeah.
guys have been working on the road for the last 20 years. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I understand the built and this and that and this, but there are also African American people out there that have been in the industry for more than 20 years that deserve a spot,
Hmm.
whether it's in front of the camera or even behind the camera.
Yeah.
And that's where we are in the industry today, because like, you know, uh, I think the executives now that we have are like Devon, thank God, and like we have like Mark Henry, who's a leader, in just diversity. And when I say a leader, I'm not just talking in black, I'm just talking in diversity, because I'm just someone who's all inclusive. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think once we get to that point, we'll be able to change the game in the business, and just like, and everyone can get paid, and these, people at the bigger companies will be able to, begin to realize that they have to pay their workers.
It saddens me that people would, I guess, just relate you more to the leash part,
Right.
because I definitely want to say it now. You were such a gentle soul. Like you did not want to hurt me at all with
At all.
with any idea for, that night, for that show. You would always run it by me. And even though my answer was always, yeah, I'm game, you would say, like, are you sure you don't have to do this? Like
Right.
you always made sure that I was 1,000% okay with doing
Right.
whatever we were doing that night.
Right.
And, that's why I loved working with you, is because I didn't feel uncomfortable at all.
I
Never.
really appreciate that. I appreciate that. And that was like one of the main things and the first things that I learned in the industry. And I've had my shares of getting hurt, by people, whether it's by purpose or accident. And I've hurt people also by accident, never by purpose. And I always you know, want people to treat me the same way. Especially if it's something like that. In my head, I'm like, oh my God, this is something I never did before. I would just hope that someone would say, listen, are you okay with this? And are you sure? Even if it's something that I had to say, and reassuring them that we could change it, You know what I mean? That there's no type of like, ill will or anything like that, because it's your life. You know what I'm saying? It's your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's your career. And also, we were in a situation where the creativity was open. We weren't, forced. We didn't have the guns to our head for certain things, but, and Gabe was open to changing ideas, outside of the ring and stuff like that. Most of his stuff that he was like going crazy over was in the ring stuff. But, I always just wanted to make sure that everyone that I was working with, whether it was as a manager or as a wrestler, that they were safe, because I just needed to make sure that, I was safe as well. You never want to get in there with someone who just doesn't know what they're doing, or you don't want to just go in there and just say, okay, we're going to do this. I'm not that type of person. So I'm just glad that I was able to let you, even that scene, even that one thing in Chicago, and this is something that someone stole from us, like where, the cage, we were in the cage match with CM Punk, and then,
you caught me?
Yeah, I caught you in my arms,
yeah.
and stuff. I remember asking, we spoke about that whole thing. I remember that, and it came out great. It came out great. I still watch it today, and people, let me tell you something. People try to steal that, like, I'm telling you, they've stolen the exact same thing. Like, they spoke to the cameraman and told the cameraman to zoom in on them and to watch.
Oh my gosh.
The whole thing that I and you put together. You know what I'm saying? And it's just pitiful. Like, be original. Be original. Like, that's the only thing. Like, yes, you could take little pieces from people, but be original.
You talk about, wanting to make sure that the other person's okay with whatever that you do because you want to keep the other person safe. That's half part wrestler of you, but that's also the other part of you not being an a-hole, of being a good human.
Right. I mean, it's, God. People have to have God in their life. If it's Buddha, if it's Muhammad, if it's, Jehovah, whatever it is, you have to have God in your life, and just like know that, what goes around comes around, and the more people that you help, the more blessings that you will get.
Yeah.
And, it's just, at this point in my career, I'm just glad that I was able to experience. I started early in wrestling. I started when I was 15, and I've been in the industry for a long time. And I met a lot of people, and I've gained a lot of respect, and I respect a lot of people. And I'm just glad that I was on this ride, and I was able to just, realize a dream, travel the world, never pay for a plane ticket, to certain places that I probably would have never been. So definitely, I would never shit or speak bad about the pro wrestling industry, but definitely, it's an industry that I think has a lot more. It has a lot more of a way to go as far as all inclusiveness, and I just feel like we're getting there slowly but surely, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah. I consider myself so lucky because not only working with you, but also Jimmy.
Oh, man.
Jimmy was so good. He was so light on his feet. Like,
yes, one of the best.
Oh my gosh, whenever he would like step, and I'm doing the air quotations with my fingers.
Right.
He never really did. I only probably felt him for not even a split second. Like, that's how good he was, and that's how like great of a person he is, because like, he's not living the gimmick, but he is he's being it. I don't know how to explain it.
It's an unbelievable thing. If anyone worked with Jimmy back in the day, and he was trained by some phenomenal people, and he came up with some phenomenal people, Jimmy always wanted it to work out, and he was the underdog. He was the kid that a lot of these kids are now in the wrestling industry. That he was the kid that people didn't want on the show, So when he finally was able to make the big show, it was like, oh my God, this is where he is, and he he proved himself, and he was able to kind of just, he knew what he had. He had the looks and everything. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? He had the
Yeah.
looks and everything. And like he knew he was going to be a superstar. So he could have been a douchebag to everyone. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
If he really wanted it, I think if Jimmy was a douchebag, more of a douchebag, he would have been in the devil, not to say it like that. But I think if he was more of a douchebag, you know what I mean? Please, he would have probably been a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? But that's not how he was. He was more of a laid back guy, and stuff like that. And that sort of thing. And that's really why I love him so much. He's a laid back guy, but a hard worker when it came to wrestling. You know, one of the things about the wrestling business is that, sometimes when you're not getting those breaks at certain points in your life, it can set you back. It can put you into a bad think pattern. I know people are like, oh, you can't, you got to keep working, this and that. But sometimes it's like, wait a minute, what am I doing? You stop and then you get caught up in other life things, and then it throws you off track. So I definitely, um, hope that he's doing well. That's one of my great, friends in the wrestling business, and he's definitely someone that people should continue to learn from.
Yeah, I just I think about that often. Just think about how I got lucky working for such a big company and being able to work with great people.
Right, right. Very good people. Very good people. Samoa Joe, Homicide. Please, there's a whole list of people.
Hmm.
Those two guys I love. Julius Smoke.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
yeah, forget it. There's many, many, many,
Is
many names.
he's still managing though, right? Like before this whole pandemic, I think he like popped up.
Yeah, he's active. He's never stopped.
Oh, really? Just so
Yeah,
he's just staying local?
yeah, he's local. He does a lot still. He's still very, very active. He's still active in the business. I know he's trying to do like a death match soon or something like that.
What?
Yeah, he's trying to like not really, but he was just like kind of like saying that on Facebook. Yeah, he's one of my good friends in the industry. He's a good guy too.
I'll tell you who's not a good guy.
Who's that?
And the only reason I'm bringing him up is because you brought him up earlier. Fast Eddie.
Oh yeah, I heard so many things afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there was one point where Jimmy had already gone in the ring and then he came up. So then he like full on stood on top of me with both feet.
What?
And at the time I'm like, what is this guy? What does he think he's doing?
What, like with the footstool thing? And then
Yeah.
what a dick.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
stupid. He was stupid.
So as soon as I felt him, I'm like, what the so I pretended to collapse in hopes that he would just bail.
Lighten up.
But he caught onto the ropes and yeah, I really wanted him to trip.
Wow.
But
Did you say
yeah,
something afterwards?
I can't remember. I
I wish
probably
you would
I
have told me. I would have fucking.
I
Oh man.
probably said something to him, most likely, because I that's something because like A, what a dick move. B, you're taking that whole like sacred thing away from Jimmy. Like that's
Right.
his thing, you know? And three, like you're trying to put yourself over. Like
Right.
what are you doing?
Right.
So, and we were just walking out as a group. So anyway,
That was crazy. He was just nuts for that. What a nut. What a nut job. He was nutty anyway. Like he was very like short lived. I remember him. Jeez.
yeah. And ever since that day, I I did not even acknowledge him. Like
Right.
obviously if I had to like work and interact with him, I did, but which I don't think I had to anyway, but like there was no yeah.
Yeah, it was like, listen, like it was like just pass right by. Like, listen, don't even look at me. I remember
Yeah.
he was cross-eyed or something like that, or
Yeah, he
something
was
like
like blind. He was like
yeah,
legally
something. That was
blind.
his excuse for being a dickhead. Oh, excuse my
Well,
language.
that makes sense now.
Right, that was his excuse. These people are crazy.
When was your last show? Like your like actual last wrestling show? Was it with Ring of Honor?
No, actually, it was last year. I had a couple of wrestling shows. One with the last one I believe was with Shakara. Actually,
Oh,
it was with Shakara. It was me and Jimmy Rave and Sal Renaro. The embassy it was a little embassy reunion. You know, Sal was
okay. Yep.
and we went up against some guys out there, and it was good. One of the guys I know he was out there. He had like kicked me in the back during the match.
Hmm.
And again, like I've been in the business for 20 something years, and like we do this, and that wasn't no regular kick. You know, I'm telling you, it was not no regular goddamn kick. All right. And, you know, I spoke to him in the back about it, and I don't want him to feel like I was, you know, because I pulled him to the side, you know.
Yeah.
People have to understand, like, I know that and I'm from the generation where we strike hard. So you're not telling anybody anything new here. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, when it came down to striking hard as a wrestler, I did, you know, when you need to, especially when you tell people, you know, but that strike almost put me out of commission. I'm telling you, that one little strike
Wow.
almost put me out of commission. Like I still believe I have a broken rib from that match. All right, and the thing is, I told Quack and Bush about it. Uh, you know, and
So what did the guy
I
say?
don't want
Did
to
he
say that
like,
I don't
did
want
he
to say that he
admit?
didn't care or anything like, but it's just like, you know, I was on my own basically after that. So it made me think. I was like, you know what? I just it made me think. It made me think really long because like all those other years, I've always guys have been safe, but like these new guys, you know, they don't know how to work. I'm just gonna say it like that. You
Hmm.
know, they're not they the only time that they feel that they're gonna. I mean, you know, I don't know what it is. When you get to WWE or you get to AEW and you're in those semi-main event and main event matches, you're gonna strike hard. I get it. When you're on TV and you're in a match with someone that you know and that's been going on, you're gonna strike hard. You know each other. All right. But if you don't know me, all right, and we're in there for the first time, you don't fucking try to fucking hurt somebody. I don't give a fuck what it's going on or whatever. Like you don't know me. I don't never worked with you before like that. To be comfortable to know, you know what I mean, or whatever.
Hmm.
So like, you know, I made that clear, and I just hope that he didn't take it the wrong way because you know I'm a veteran. Take care of me, bro. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like, please take
Hmm.
care of me. I'm not you now. Like, I'm not 20 like you. You know what I'm saying? I was 20 back then. You understand where I'm going with it?
Yeah. No, yeah, I do. I do.
We're still trying to entertain people here, man. Like that really like made me think twice about getting because I really wanted to. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll do the wrestling thing again, one more. You know what I mean? Because people, you know what I mean? I know I can do it. You know, my
Yeah.
last big match was in 2012. That's 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
Um, it's in 2012 at the Hammerstein Ballroom, and that was a huge match on pay per view during the Kevin Steen and Generico ladder match. You know, so I know how to get the job done. I
Hmm.
could do a match today and get it done. You know, but there's a lot that goes into it, and you got to work out and stuff like that. And I love, you know, I'm in the best, you know, shape and health that I've been in a long time. But to put on another 20 pounds again and stuff like that, I don't think I can do it.
Yeah.
I would have to put on another 20 pounds and just like, you know, there's just a lot, um, you know, that I would have to do that I can do and I would, you know, I've done, you know, but right now, you know, I like being a manager. I like being slender. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I like, you know what I'm saying? I like
Yeah.
being slender, and my high blood pressure is down now, and,
Hmm.
and stuff like that. Like, a lot of me being heavy, it doesn't help me. And like, so that's good. People want me to be fat. Like, people thought I was sick at one point in my career, and that's not that. It's just that I was, going from being a wrestler to being a manager. I spent the first, 9 years of my life, 8 years of my life, you know, as a wrestler, like, 10 years of my life as a wrestler, and then the next 10 years of my life as a manager. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? So it's like, people wanted me to be fat. Like, they're like, oh, we missed the fat. Nah, I'm like, what? I'm like, you get the hell out of my face. Like, I don't get it.
So would you say you're still kind of playing with the fact that you do want to return and do some more managing, or do you think at this point you're content, you're okay?
I love where my life is right now. I love seeing everyone on TV. Shout out to Mark Quinn. Shout out to Isaiah Cassidy. Those are my guys.
Oh,
All right. When I say my guys, they
yeah.
were trained by the amazing Red and Brian Excel, but those guys are my guys, and I'm very proud of them. All right. That they're doing their thing on television with Matt Hardy. I'm proud of everyone over at AEW, all the guys that bring on. Shane Taylor is holding it down big time over there, over at Ring of Honor. Of course, my friend, Jay Lethal, and a whole crew of other people, that not mentioning. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a
Hmm.
whole group. Adam Pearce is doing his thing up in WWE. Mia Yim is doing her thing, WWE. You
Yeah.
know, forget it. Your husband is doing his thing in Impact. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I can't be happier to know.
Yeah, my husband doing his thing.
Yes, yes. It's good to I see he's doing big things at Impact. I love seeing that. Jet has a great, great influence in his life, and it's just good to see that, he's gonna grow up to know that his father was a world champion, and
Yeah.
that his mom is an unbelievable, actress and, sports entertainer. It's just, these are the things that the young people need in their lives. And that's what I am to my nieces and nephews. Like, my
Yeah.
about to be a doctor. One of my other nieces is about to become a television broadcaster. I couldn't be
Oh.
with them. Yeah, and all my brothers and sisters are doing well. So I'm very happy. They're all just waiting for me to drop my kids soon. So, like, I'm beginning that. So Jed will have some playmates soon.
Yes. I want to see you in that role.
I know, right? Forget it. Super dad. Forget.
Okay, I want to play some this or that. Are you familiar with this game?
With who?
You're so old. This game is called This or That. So basically, I will give you two choices, and you're going to have to just choose one over the other.
Okay.
Just which one you'd prefer. Okay. The first one is wrestle or manage, although I think we just covered that.
Um, Believe it or not, I'd love to just wrestle.
Oh, really?
Oh
See,
yeah, I'd love to
I
just
thought,
do it. I'd love to, like, just, you know, do a run, and like, because I could do it, but just and really entertain, just as long as everyone was working together.
yeah.
When you get the egos involved and everyone's trying to be like, fake competitive, then it's like, oh gosh, what are we doing here? But when everyone's working to put a good show together and stuff like that, yeah, me as a wrestler, is like one of the most entertaining things that you could imagine. I don't, people who saw that match with me and RD Evans, they know what I'm talking about.
See, I only know you as the manager, and
Oh,
which like you're amazing. Everything, you're all around like mic skills like no other. Your
you never really
character, your acting, like everything you're selling, just crazy. Your facials.
That's right. You never really saw me as a wrestler like that. That's right.
Okay. Would you want to be able to rewind time or pause time?
Uh, in what sense?
Okay, let's talk about in wrestling sense.
In wrestling sense, if I was
Yeah.
to rewind it or pause time,
Hmm.
um, I wouldn't do either. I don't think it's the pause, or I think it's like to rewind. I wouldn't do anything over again. I wouldn't do anything over again that I did in the wrestling business because there's a saying if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't change a thing. But as far as pausing time, no, it has to go on. Life continues with or without Prince Nana and Jay Chung. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you know what I mean. We got other people that we're producing that need to experience this thing, and we just need to prepare them for it and keep them alive. In this crazy world that we got going on. So, like, yeah, I wouldn't rewind it, nor would I pause it because it is what it is. It's someone's business. You know what I'm saying? The thing that we're all dying to be a part of and stuff like that. It's enabling someone's lavish lifestyle. So we need to just understand that part of it.
I like your
So,
answer.
so yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, we should start establishing our own lavish lifestyles. Like, I'm about to have like a wrestling show in the hood soon. Like, we're gonna just have a bunch of people going crazy. Why not put it on YouTube?
Nice. Okay, are you a phone call guy or are you a text message guy?
I'm a text message guy, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely a text message guy all the way,
Is that
all the
is
way.
that is that the same as like voice messages as well?
I do that. I've started doing a lot of those now, like the all right, I'll see you soon, but and that's it type of thing. And then I'm like, okay, that'll last them a good 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like that message will hold them down for a good 2 weeks. For me to like not call them back. But yeah, that's funny as hell.
Would you want to read minds or see into the future?
I think I would like to see into the future more.
Yeah,
This way
I'd
I
pick
can
that too.
avoid any mistakes. Yeah, I think I could avoid mistakes, any type of like weirdness. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't
Yeah,
care what people think. That's one thing about me. I really don't care what people think. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I just don't like when people, when bad people get good opportunities. But what goes around comes around. So it doesn't
yeah.
matter.
Okay, last one, original or remix
Of anything?
of music.
Oh, I love originals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an original person. Sometimes I'll go for the remix, but the original is really it's just like the cream of the crop. You know what I'm saying? It's like what it needs to be. The original is like, okay, this is where they were going. The remix, they're doing too much. You know what
Well,
I'm saying?
yeah, I'll say like there's like very little of remix that is good. Like
Right.
the one that pops in mind is which one? Oh, is Let's Get Married by Jagged Edge.
Yes.
I like the
Yeah.
remix better.
You know which remix was really good too? And these are by my good friends. The one Sleeping in My Bed remix by Blue.
Yes.
That was a
Jermaine
good
Dupri
remix.
as well. Yeah. And Debrat,
That was with the
yes.
Brad. Yes. Yep,
So good.
those are my guys. That remix right there was hard. And the original was hard too. So, I give that those you actually named a good group. They do good. Jagged Edge does really good remix.
Hmm. But like as far as remixes go, I think they were only good like back then at that era of hip
Right.
hop and R&B. Cause like now it's music isn't the same. But then you know what? I'm a little biased because my favorite type of music is hip hop and R&B, you know,
Right,
the late like the 99 to like 2001.
right,
That
right.
was like my favorite time.
Those were the best times.
Are you moving around?
No, you know what it is? Somebody, I think one of these fools, one of my nail clipper cutters. All right, I think they were calling me on the other line. No, no worries. But you know how these nail clipper cutters are after a certain time. But but what I was gonna say is the early '90s is the great, some of the great music. SWV, you know, forget it. The list goes on and on. Like the Art Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown, all these people that were coming out with music. You know, forget it. The music of that era is great. You can put that on, and your whole house would be clean if you just took some time to listen to that music while you were cleaning.
Since we're on the subject of music, let's talk about Crook Melody.
Oh wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Now, before we go on, okay, you've sent me a couple of songs,
Yes.
which I was like really feeling. I was feeling the beat. I was listening for the beat, and I was listening for the lyrics. What I didn't freaking realize that it was you. I thought you were producing them and like either or like writing the songs or something. But I'm like, oh yeah, like oh I love the beat, or you were like doing the beat or something. I was like, wow, this is like really good. I didn't even know it was you. I listened to it the
I knew
third
you.
time today, and I was like, oh my god, that's actually him. Like I could that then I could hear your voice. I was like, oh.
Yes. Yes. Crook Melody is yours truly. You got the cat is out of the bag, my friend. All right.
It's
It's me.
you.
It's me.
Okay.
It's me.
First off, the name. How did you come up with it? Where did it come from? Why did you decide to go with a different name?
Um. All right. Well, basically, it's a long but short story, and I never told anyone. You're the first one ever in wrestling to even know about this. It's crazy.
Well,
I'm
I'm
about to tell.
special, so you
You're
should tell
special,
me.
so that's why it's great. You know. But I was in the industry, the music industry, for a long time. A lot of people who know me, they know that I was working for Island Def Jam Music Group and
Yes.
Island Records and all these other places and stuff
And
with Drew Hill.
before sorry,
Mhm.
I'm so sorry for interrupting. But yes, speaking of you working for other record companies, the Embassy Music, I remember you telling me that you asked, I think you asked Lil Kim for permission to
Yeah,
use it.
yeah. It
Yes.
was for it.
It's
I actually used to use that music on the independent scene for myself. So
oh,
that's
it's
that
so good.
song that we were using when we used to come out to drugs. That was actually my indie music from when Gabe met me when I was coming out and the place was going crazy. So everyone kind of knew my theme already. You understand what I'm saying? And like
So
at
good.
that time, you know, I was really really cool with Little Kim's people and her camp over at Undius Records and Queen Bee Records. Shout out to my boy Gene. Shout out to Man and also to Hillary Weston. They all held me down for many, many years and introduced me to Little Kim quite a few times. And, you know, Kim, she didn't necessarily say, hey, you can use the song, you know what I mean? But I let her know that I was using it on the Independence, and her whole team knew that I was using it on the Independence. They never really gave any problems with that. They just knew that I was showing her respect as an artist, and they really appreciated that. But I think I got cut off when I was saying that Little Kim was very, very cool. And I was basically able to tell her, hey, listen, I'm a wrestler, and I'm using your song, and it's really making me popular on the Independence. And she was like really cool with that. And her team was really cool with that. So shout out to Kim, yeah. And
Awesome.
she
Okay.
ended up doing music for WWE afterwards. Actually,
She ended up doing what? Sorry?
she ended up doing music for WWE afterwards.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Little Kim, yep, she did
I think
Trish Stratus.
yeah, Trish. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a real big coincidence also.
Back to Crook Melody. I want to know, how'd you
Oh
get the name?
man. Basically that name came from working in the music industry for a long time. And basically, I used to always try to like, because I was a little kid back then, I used to try and put on a straight face. I used to try and look older because, I was just around so many major music executives and they all liked me. For some reason, they liked me a lot. And I would just be doing everything. And I was flying to Los Angeles to exclusive photograph sessions with Drew Hill and Kelly Price and all these huge artists, and I used to try and put on a really straight face and I used to squint my eyes and then people used to be like crooked. So, over the years in my neighborhood, Brooklyn, New York, friends and my close family and friends, they know me as Crook for like the last maybe like 20 years. No one else knows me as that other than people in my neighborhood. And the melody part, that just comes from my years of being in the music industry and my years of songwriting. I've been writing songs since I was like maybe about 3 years old.
What?
It's just that my focus for some reason, came towards pro wrestling. I really wanted be the thing that I was focusing on because I knew that in order to get to the level that I was trying to get to, I needed to focus on that. So I really did focus on that, and I feel like I've accomplished a heck of a lot, and there's probably more to accomplish. Who knows? But I'm just really happy that Crook Melody is here and he's here to stay with like his music and just collaborating with artists.
It's amazing. How many songs do you have right now?
Over the years, I have hundreds of songs. Um, but what I plan on doing, and I know I've had so many other plans with wrestling, like with the podcast, and then it stops, and then but with this, I plan on putting out music, quite frequently for the remainder of this year. We're
Oh,
looking to put out some videos too. So just to get people more involved with me as an artist and as a songwriter, and to start collaborating with some other independent artists out there. We're not looking to get any huge you know uh recognition off of this. This is just because we enjoy it. We have talented people working on the
mm-hmm.
studio with us, day in and day out, and finally I'm able to get out of that shell because it used to be kind of shy. I don't think I was ever shy. I'm not shy,
Yeah,
but
no.
it's not that I was shy, but it was just that I never really, I never saw myself as an artist. Like I never saw myself. I always saw myself as a singer or something like that, but I never saw myself as one of these artists, that we were branding and that I was working with. But I think now, and I'm not young, that. But I think now with the music that I'm putting out, I'm going to be able to, capitalize on what's missing in the music industry, and that's like real
Yeah.
music. So, I'm not going to try and go with any trends, even though I could write trendy music. And if I do trendy music, it's going to be with, artists that are well.
Yes, I'm so glad you said
You
that.
really got to
Don't,
like them.
yeah, don't try to be trendy. I really
Right.
miss
I
the
really hate that
old
stuff.
school, like
Right.
real R&B, real hip
Right.
hop. I miss that.
Right. We need that back. We need a lot more of that. And I'm going to bring that back. They're calling me the crown jewel of R&B. I kind of stole it from Jimmy Ray. Excuse my
Nice.
language. You're going to have to bleep out a whole lot of this stuff.
You're good. Don't worry. Okay, so like if I ever get back into wrestling, like if I ever wrestle again, will you do my theme song?
Of course. Of course.
I kind of put you on the spot, so you
I'll
kind of
do
have
the
to say yes on my podcast.
I know I would do the whole administrate. I'll do the administrative work, and then also, just to show like that you were like like you're an official MC. I'll just do like an opening, like something, and then the song will hit, and then you're coming out, like you know what I mean. I don't know if you heard the new
Yeah.
song, the newest theme that I have. the track that I was using in Ring of Honor the last time was produced by a Grammy Award winning producer. His name was Jimi Kendrix, and he produced the song "I Did It My Way" on the Jay-Z album. I believe it was on the Blueprint too. Yeah, so in that song, if you listen to that after this call, that song, I actually make a vocal appearance on that song, but I'm actually speaking, as Prince Nana. So it's a nice song. You'll like it when you hear it.
Is it out now?
Yeah, it's online. I've been using that new theme song with Ring of Honor, I think, for the last like 3 years, 4 years.
Oh,
So
really?
it's called Action. Yep, Action.
Action. Okay.
Yep, it's Action. I'll send you a link. Yeah, anyone interested, listening to the Crook Melody music, they can always go to SoundCloud. SoundCloud is a great app to, discover new artists and hear new music that you might not have heard before. Just, you go to SoundCloud and search Crook Melody, add me as soon as possible, follow me. This way I can shout you out and you'll hear some really great music that I'm producing here at our
Yeah.
studios.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's good.
Like
It's
I could.
we're trying to get them working. We're working. So you're gonna see some videos and more visuals, and you'll be like, wow, this guy's serious. And hopefully, it's like you'll hear some stuff on the radio.
I hope so. My fingers are crossed.
Thank you so much.
I remember it was like just past 10 p.m. one night, like a few weeks ago. I think this is when I was asking you to come on my podcast.
Right.
And then you replied with like a voice message, and it like you were just jamming in the back. I'm just laughing because I'm like dead ass tired over here, just like about to head upstairs to go to bed.
I remember that.
And I was like, what is going on? You having a party? Like, but you were in the studio. You were in the studio.
Whenever he calls. Carrie Silken always asks, are you having a party? Every time he calls, I'm like, no, I'm in the studio, man. That's where I take my I get away from all the BS in life. I just go into the studio, jam out, have a great, session, and just, kind of just, jam it out,
Yeah.
just enjoy myself, have one or two other collaborators down there. And every now and then we'll come up with a banger.
Nice. How long does it take you to like write up a whole song?
It depends. It depends. Some days, it'll be like, wow, we just wrote a song in like 2 hours, 3 hours. That's awesome. And then sometimes a song will take a couple of days. And then sometimes a song, you'll be like, oh man, I don't like the way this sounds. And then you'll come back to it a month later. You know what I mean? And then, I still don't like the way. And now it sounds good now. And then you leave it, and then you come back to it now.
Oh,
can you hear me?
Yeah. So it's a process, right?
Right. It's definitely a process that, of like going into the studio, being creative, and not rushing. You know what I mean? If you're just gonna go into the studio and rush, like, oh, I just want to do this, like, you know what I mean? I think you should just have your mind open. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you'll get a hit in an hour. Sometimes, not a hit, but like a song that you really like in an hour. Sometimes you'll get that in 2 days. Sometimes you'll get that in a year. The one song took me a year to write, and I'm still writing it. And that's just because of like, the way that song is. And sometimes, you have, certain ideas for certain people's songs.
Nice. I'm excited to listen to more, and I keep laughing at myself because I just couldn't believe it was you.
Like, I know. A lot of people, they still don't know, and it's not. They're not gonna know until it's on the radio because, like, I'm very serious about everything that I do. And I always take it to a level where it's good for me and for my family because we need to support. I'm an entertainer. And my focus was in pro wrestling all these years, but my focus was being an entertainer, entertaining people. So if pro wrestling isn't offering opportunities right now for what it is that I can offer, then I have to, kind of like do other things. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
definitely.
try and bring people down and stuff like that. It's not me.
But it's also like the way you post, like you're not flashy about it. Like
Right.
you post about it, but you're subtle. And that's what confused me is that you would link your song, but then you wouldn't be like, "Hey, this is me. This is
Right.
this is my voice."
Because
You would just
because
be
they
like, "Check this out." I
like
like
yeah, it's like I want people to kind of like, you know, just I don't want to force people.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
my thing. Like that's my whole thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like I never want to force people to do anything because like a lot I realize like, the wrestling fans, like if I was in AEW right now and I was like, hey, check this out, everyone would jump on it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I
yeah,
don't want it to be like that. I want people to check it out for me.
yeah,
I want them to say, I want them to, hit me back in my inbox like, hey, listen, who was that? And for me to be like, hey, and I've gotten that where people hit me back and they're like, Nana, who was that? And I'm like, holy shit. That's great. Like, man, like, shit. But like, I didn't even know. I'm like, yeah, bro. Like, but the image of Prince Nana and Crook Melody are two different people. I just want that to be known. Like, they're two good, and they're definitely characters because Nana Bando is nothing like Prince Nana, and Crook Melody is nothing like Nana Bando or Prince Nana either.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so, and I've learned that, thank God, through wrestling. Wrestling has taught me a lot also of how to, create and how to product develop and so on and so forth. So I'm proud of that. And I'm implementing that into what I'm doing now. And, me not being signed to WWE and all these other companies and so on and so forth is actually helping me get my music career off the ground. I think if I were
Mhm.
ever signed or anything like that, it would have been harder for me to have gotten the deal that I have right now through the God. So I just try to tell people that everything happens in time for everybody. And it's your job to tell your story. You can't let people tell your stories. And my story is that I'm here to stay. It's
Yeah.
either Prince Nana or you can Bando or you're gonna have Crook Melody, and a lot of people are gonna try and copy it, and God bless them. I respect them and their careers, and if they want to try it out or whatever, but no one's gonna be me. No one's gonna be you. So
Mhm.
as long as people that I know that, we're going all the way to the top.
Yes.
We're
See?
going all
Such
the way to the top.
That's the mentality to have, guys.
Right, right,
Right there.
right, right. In a nutshell. Seriously, it's all facts. I'm not saying that you know that already, Jade.
Yeah.
This is all facts. Like it's all through positivity, helping other people and living your life to the fullest and like seeing your family, making sure your family's taken care of, they're
Hmm.
smiling, they're educated, and that, you know, you're providing for your other half or just like the people that you care about in your
100%.
life. Right.
How about one last game before we
Uh-oh.
finish up?
Uh-oh. This is where it gets stinky. It's getting late.
We're going to play rapid fire.
Okay.
I'm going to name a simple move, and you're going to name the first wrestler that pops into your head.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. First one is dropkick.
AJ Styles. I
Yeah.
don't,
Oh, that's a
I don't
good
know
one.
why.
Yeah. Yeah. Super kick.
Shawn Michaels.
Yep. I'd say that too. Choke slam.
Undertaker. I don't know
Yep.
why I said
DDT.
Jake the Snake Roberts. He came to mind.
Of course. Neck breaker.
I would have to say, I don't know why Honky Tonk Man is in my head.
Honky tonk man.
Yeah, I don't know why he's in my head. I don't know.
That's a first.
He used to love doing that type of stuff, like the neck breaker type stuff.
Moonsault.
Shoot. I think it's Jeff Hardy. Yeah, no, it wasn't him. I used to swan Thomas. I think the Moonsault would have to be Batman Bigelow.
Oh,
That
good
comes to
one.
mind,
Good one. And the last one is Powerbomb.
I used to love Sid Vicious.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Sid Vicious.
Yeah. You came
Yeah,
up with
I know
really
I
good
picked a whole
ones.
bunch of like, classic guys, but that was like, that's where it was the best. I think like that was like the greatest times
Yeah.
in pro wrestling. Like I think like around those eras with those people and like, you know, that's where like the stories were told. But man, those were great times. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, that's the reason why I have rapid fire on here. It's just to kind of see what era that, my guests gravitate to. And
Right,
it's
right.
usually the era that they love and that sticks out the most because, it's just what they
I
they
said
they
all the
think
people
about.
from that. I said all the people from my favorite era. That's
Yeah.
the thing is that like a lot of people they're like, oh, who do you like? And this, like a lot of the people, and this is not. I've been in the business myself since I was a kid, so it's like everyone that I meet, they're a wrestler and this and that. It's hard for me to become a fan of you because it's like I'm just like, you know what I mean? It's like I'm in the industry too, But there are some new guys out there like your husband that I'm a huge, huge, fan of. Guys that I worked with over the years, like Samoa Joe, who I'm a huge fan of. I know like
Mhm.
guys aren't making huge waves anymore, but just their integrity is what I admire the most. You know what I'm saying? So like, big up to all my friends out there in the Big E. Big up to you out in the Canada area taking the time to drag me onto this phone call, and really get me talking a heck of a lot. We could go on for hours and hours and hours and
Yes.
hours. You took me in my accent. You got me out of my accent. I almost cried at one point. The
Oh.
phone went off. Like, my goodness. Jeez, I'm just the only thing that didn't happen. My good friend Jet didn't come bust in the room to tell you, hey, what are you doing, mom?
Trust me, he definitely would if he wasn't in bed right now. And this is why we do this so late.
That is so funny. So funny.
Okay, let everybody know where they can find you as Prince Nana and find you as Crook Melody on social media.
Absolutely. If you are looking for anything wrestling related, hey, you can always find me on social media at Prince King Nana. All right, look it up. All right, and then also if you're interested in my music, all right, putting out some really cool melody mixes, jazz, R&B, hip hop. Look up Crook Melody on SoundCloud. Crook, Crook, and then Melody, Melody on SoundCloud, my friends.
Nana, thank you so much. I always have a blast. Always have a blast catching up with you and obviously talking Ring of Honor with you.
Oh man, we're gonna do it again. We're gonna do a round table discussion soon with all of the embassy members.
Oh
And
my
I'm gonna make
gosh.
sure I'm gonna drag you out to that because that's gonna be so, so fun. Keep doing all the wonderful things, all right, that you're doing, sis. Because every time I see you post out there, it's just unbelievable what you're doing. And I can't wait to see you on the big platforms doing it for one of these big
Oh,
companies.
thank you so much for the support. You're so amazing. That does it for episode 7. Until next time, see you next Tuesday.